And we're live, Mayor Rochford.
Welcome, council members, to this meeting. It's a special day today. We were reminded all day that it's the 22nd day of the second day of the week, I guess, of 2022. I'm not sure if there's any significance to it, but it certainly was a catchy phrase and a catchy day that way. And so I'd like to call, I understand Councillor Lougheed will be joining us very shortly, but on that note, we will call the meeting to order. Madam Clerk.
Thank you. I require a mover and a seconder, please. Moved by Councillor Champagne and seconded by Councillor Kelly, that the draft agenda presented to council and dated the 22nd day of February 2022 be adopted as prepared.
All in favor? C'est bon, thank you, Carrie. Accepting the minutes of the previous meetings.
Thank you. I require a mover and a seconder. Moved by Deputy Mayor Trahan and seconded by Councillor Kelly, that the minutes of the regular council meeting held February 8, 2022 be adopted as circulated.
All in favor? Councillor Kelly, are you in favor or were you just frozen?
Frozen.
He's frozen. Okay, so I think
Frozen. Frozen temporary.
Okay. C'est bon, but you're in favor, right? Okay, that's good. Thank you. I don't know if I don't think I said any business arising from the minutes. So there being none, declarations of conflict of interest. You know, I was when I read this, I was reminded that Madame Clerk should remove the famous words pecuniary interest, and because she knew I always had a difficult time pronouncing it, but it certainly is a complicated word. But overall, I think what it's so important to remember what it stands for, that if there's a if one of us stands to gain financially or actually lose due to our direct or indirect association to an agenda item. And so I thank you, Madam Clerk, for thinking of me, but it is an important word and that we need to always keep in the forefront as we look at agendas. On that note, any declarations of conflict of interest or pecuniary interest thereof? There being none, we will proceed then to Chair's comments. And so on behalf of Council, we would like to extend our regrets. We did do so, but we'd like to publicly do so as well to Paul Gervais, and his family for the loss, the tragic loss of his daughter, Amy. She was 28 years old and had dreams to become a nurse, was completing her degree. And so we encourage all citizens of East Ferris who know Paul and his family to consider a contribution to the Canadore College and Nipissing University Scholarship Fund. And Councillor Champagne was advising us prior to the call that you can do so online. And so basically it's direct by going to those organizations and their websites. So on that note, any additional comments before we move on? C'est bon? We go ahead, please. We, Councillor Champagne.
No, I'm just saying our thoughts are with them. That's all. It's a tough situation, and Paul's a great person, and so is his other daughter and his ex-wife, and all a blessing to them.
On that note, we move forward to delegations to council, and we don't have any this meeting, so we will proceed with committee reports. Public Works and Infrastructure Committee, we don't have any minutes to report, but are there any comments, Deputy Mayor Taha and Councillor Kelly?
No, not at this time. We have a meeting coming up on the 22nd of March.
Thank you. Community Emergency Management Committee, there being none. Fire and Emergency, none for this session, although we do have items on our agenda related to the fire department. Planning Advisory Committee, we do have minutes of February 16th. And we do have recommendations from these minutes. Councillor Kelly, only if you wish to provide comments, not necessary. But we also have Mr. Curtin with us. Go ahead.
I would defer to Mr. Curtin to explain exactly what happened. They're quite extensive. We had a long meeting and productive, I thought. Greg, would you mind taking over, please?
Sure. Thanks, Councillor Kelly. So at our meeting of the Planning Advisory Committee last Wednesday, we had two rezoning applications that went before the committee. The first one was a vacant piece of property on Highway 94, about halfway between our municipal office and Corbeil Corners on Highway 17. So the owner of the property is looking to rezone the property to allow a small warehouse to be built. They're currently storing equipment at various places off-site of the property they own, and they're looking to consolidate their equipment holdings. No business would be taking place on site, but they are just looking to do equipment storage. So that went through with recommendation of approval from the committee. We had no public correspondence on that application, with the exception of comments of no objection from the North Bay Mattawa Conservation Authority. The second one that came before the committee was also in conjunction with two severance applications, which don't come to council, but I'll speak about them all together because they are related. So the rezoning is one that I think a lot of people will be excited to hear about just because of the property it's on and what it means for the redevelopment. But this was for the former Wheelers property at the corner of Esterville Road. So because of the strange shape of the property, a severance application was submitted just to square off the property boundaries with the adjacent neighbor. And as a result, because the property boundaries would be changing slightly, the zoning also needs to be changed slightly so that it follows the new property boundaries. But the Wheeler site is currently zoned commercial already, so it's basically extending the commercial zoning to the new property boundary location. But this does mean that they are planning to go ahead with the redevelopment of that site in the near future. So I think that's very exciting for the community. And that also came through with an approval recommendation with no objections or other public correspondence received.
Well, thank you so much. Any questions or comments from council before we move to the recommendations? Madam Clerk?
Thank you. Are we going to deal with both recommendations?
Yes, okay.
I require a mover and a seconder, please. Moved by Councillor Kelly and seconded by Councillor Lougheed. Whereas no public input was received at the public meeting of the Planning Advisory Committee meeting held February 16, 2022 for file number C 2021-10 Miller and Herso Surveying, Inc. on behalf of Perron Properties, Inc. and Danielle and Linda Mercier for the lands described as Concession 3, Part Lot 21, RPNR 620, Part 2, Parcel 13472 WF on what is locally known as 1177 Village Road as applied for a zoning bylaw amendment. And whereas the proposed application seeks to slightly modify the zoning to line up with the proposed land swap that is being requested by applications B 2021-45 and B 2021-46, currently 1163 Village Road is zoned General Commercial C1 and 1177 Village Road is zoned Hamlet Residential. And whereas the proposed lands being taken from 1163 and merged with 1177 would be changed from C1 to RH, and the proposed lands being taken from 1177 and merged with 1163 would be changed from RH to C1. And whereas in both cases, a special zoning component would be added to the zoning to recognize the existing lot area deficiency of each parcels. And whereas the application is consistent with the Provincial Policy Statement 2020, and whereas the application is in conformity with the policies contained within the official plan for the municipality, be it hereby resolved that Council approves the recommendation from the Planning Advisory Committee meeting held February 16, 2022, resolution number 2022-08.
All in favor? Carried. Thank you so much. Councillor Lougheed, welcome. So, Madam Clerk, the next resolution.
Thank you. I require a mover and a seconder. Moved by Councillor Champagne and seconded by Deputy Mayor Trahan. Whereas no public input was received at the public meeting of the Planning Advisory Committee meeting held February 16, 2022 for file number C 2022-01 Degagne and La5 Building Group on behalf of Steve Brunette for the lands described as Concession 12, Part Lot 15, RP 36R 6456, Part 3, Parcel 16299 WF on what is locally known as Highway 94 has applied for a zoning bylaw amendment to rezone the property from rural to light industrial in order to permit a light manufacturing use. And whereas the application is consistent with the Provincial Policy Statement 2020, and whereas the application is in conformity with policies contained within the official plan for the municipality, it hereby resolved that council approves the recommendation from the Planning Advisory Committee meeting held February 16, 2022, resolution number 2022-09.
All in favor? C'est bon, carried. Thank you so much. On that note, we move forward to Committee of Adjustment. There were minutes. Any comments? Councillor Lougheed, Councillor Kelly, or Mr. Curtin? Councillor Kelly, yes, please.
They were a little controversial, quite frankly, and we've had some petitions. So I'd like them addressed by our staff member, Mr. Greg Curtin, please.
Sure. Thank you, Councillor Kelly. So we did have a series of applications at Committee of Adjustment. The one that Councillor Kelly is referring to that had some contention around it was the application at 59 Gilmet Road for the Sabrins. This was submitted on behalf or by Miller and Urso on their behalf. This application did have another component to it that was heard and passed by council in the fall. And that was a zoning bylaw amendment that rezoned a portion of the lands from commercial, which is currently zoned to permit an archery business, to residential. So this component with the Committee of Adjustment was to create the additional residential lots. So in the fall, they had applied for 4 new residential lots. And at the time, there was some concern from the neighborhood as well as the committee members about the layout, the features on the site, water availability, whether any environmental factors may come into play. So at that time, the applications were deferred so that the applicants could undertake a hydrogeological study as well as an environmental site assessment. So both of those studies were completed between the fall and the meeting we had on February 16th. They came back and basically demonstrated that their revised proposal for 3 new lots didn't have any impacts on any environmental features on site, and that water availability was consistently good across the immediate area, and that there'd be no reason to suspect that there wouldn't be available water for the 3 new lots that are being proposed. So based on that information, the Committee of Adjustment did approve the applications, and that is a final decision at the Committee of Adjustment level. But that is a bit of background for council's benefit.
Thank you, Mr. Curtin. Any questions or comments before we move on? Wait, Councillor Kelly?
In addition, we also had concerns about the sight lines of the driveways. And in that case, we deferred to our professional engineer, Mr. Antoine Boucher, who looked over all the driveways and the sight lines and said they're acceptable at this time. But I do want to take a chance on behalf of the committee to thank the people on the road and concerned citizens for voicing their concerns, and we've done our best to address them. Thank you.
But thank you. And I noted as well that at the meeting, both yourself and Councillor Lougheed thanked the applicants for completing the studies that were requested. So that also is important that they did that. So very good. Okay, beyond that note, we thank you all. Thank you, Mr. Curtin, for that great summary. We move to Recreation, Parks and Culture. And I know Councillor Champagne, I know there's no minutes, but I do know that it was a busy weekend for you. So we turn it over for your report.
It was a busy weekend for everybody. Family Day weekend, the ice sculptures, they weren't as intense as we were hoping because we lost quite a bit of snow last week. Some people had started and it kind of melted their little castles and everything, but effort was put into it. And, if you take a look on our Facebook page, some of them are really extraordinary how the work put together. It was kind of hard to decide between first, second, and third, actually. But anyway, at the end of the day, it was a good weekend, and the families enjoyed themselves, and there was a lot of pictures taken. So if you have an opportunity, take a look at our Facebook page and take a look at the, we took pictures as the weekend went on. So it was nice to see the families out there and do their thing. Again, thank you. Thank you.
And a special thank you as well, I guess, Councillor Champagne, to the members of the Recreation, Parks and Culture Committee. You encouraged all the members to go out and take pictures and meet with citizens. And so that was equally a very good gesture from their part.
No, it's good for everybody. It's good. And hopefully next year they'll have snow, because obviously a lot of people are still interested for next year also. And hopefully if the carnival's on at the same time, that'll be that much nicer.
I was just disappointed that my neighbor, Deputy Mayor Taha, was not a participant, but next year, hopefully.
Yeah, unfortunately, work gets in the way, Pauline. So I was working all weekend, so I wasn't off until Sunday morning. So
Fine.
I was able to get in there and compete again.
Defend your title.
It's a good time. It's a good time for the family to get together and do something together, right? And so, unfortunately.
Say well.
No, it was a good weekend.
It was an excellent weekend. So on that note, we move forward to Economic Development Committee. There's no report either this evening, but Deputy Mayor Taha, please proceed.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. We don't have anything. We got a meeting coming up, not till April though, but I just wanted to put out there that we're still working on a trade show this year. So that's coming up on for everybody that's wanted to partake in the trade show. Please get a hold of Greg Kirsten. It's going to be on May 28th this year. So hopefully we're able to get that up and rolling. And that's open up to anybody that has a small business or a large business. So yeah, it's going to be hopefully a really good time, and we can really display some of our great businesses in our great municipality. So, and maybe have some outside neighbors also partake. So all I want to do is just give a little bit of an update on that.
Oh, excellent. Wait. Excellent. So on that note, we move to Communications Committee. As again, here we don't have a report, but any comments, Councillor Lougheed? No, c'est bon?
I don't think there's any comments. I can't remember anything. I think we're good, right?
We're good.
Yeah, okay.
Just want to hear your voice. There we go. Which brings us to municipal office project. I mean, I don't know, does anyone, I hope you've all gone through Corbeil to see the walls going up. It's snowing, and so it's quite impressive. Monsieur Tressier, do you want to say anything about the advancement of the project?
Sure, I can. So I think it was around the 3rd or 4th week of January. The walls and the trusses were delivered. The building, as of Friday of last week, I was told will be closed in within about a month. And then they'll be working on it afterwards. And also at that time, I believe at the next meeting, I'll bring you guys an update on where things are at with the municipal building. A few extra points, I guess I would say, but I may also have our architect, Brian Bertrand, with us. So everything's progressing well. We're not delayed at this time. We are waiting for an updated construction schedule to see when completion date is. So I should have that information for you by the March 8th meeting.
On that note, maybe just a word about the medical office as well. You advised the council on the weekly report that you're working on signage.
Correct. So we're working right now with Sign Depot. It's the same company that produced our village welcome signs. So the signs for Corbeil and Astorville. And I'm awaiting a design layout from them. They were provided basically with our logo and what name we want on the facility. That building we should have by the 1st week of March in our possession. It's going well as well. Yeah. Also at the March 8th meeting, I will bring forward an update for council on some of the updates for the medical center, basically.
Looking forward to that. C'est bon. Any questions before we move on? C'est bon. Board reports. The library board had a meeting. Councillor Lougheed and Monsieur Tressier, do you wish to make any comments?
I'll just start on one point, and then if there's any additional points, Jason, you can take it from there because I wasn't at this meeting.
Okay.
But the one point that I want to make is that in the future, what is going to be coming our way is a little bit of a review from the library board on what is already done in terms of archival projects and what is happening at the library's end, so that we can understand kind of what they already do and what they already have accomplished, which is quite frankly a lot. They've done a lot of work already. And then just a general idea of what the board feels they think is what the library can accomplish, give or take what the resources are and what the board kind of wants the future directive to be. The other thing is they're hoping to kind of outline goals for the future of how they can improve processes, including a larger picture in their strategic plan. So I just wanted to give everyone a heads up on that, but it's not today, but it's going to be forthcoming. Other than that, Jason, you can take it from here.
Thank you, Councillor Lougheed.
I believe that sums up most of the important parts of the meeting. There was a special meeting we had this week as well last week for budget 2022 operating budget for the library. So we will see at the meeting in March, we'll see the final budget, and then that'll be coming forward to council afterwards for presentation. It is a small increase, but it's a tough year with inflation and the cost of utilities and hydro and insurance and everything increasing. That's mainly the increase when you look at the library's budget. So yeah, but a good budget to come forward with. So yeah.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Any questions, comments? There being none, Police Services Board, the next meeting is March 10th. Just want to mention how I'm sure all council members as well have thought the same thing. It was very informative what occurred in Ottawa from a Police Services Board perspective. And so certainly educational as well as we watch that unfold. Departmental reports and resolutions, there being none. Notice of motions. Notice of motions, we do have one prepared by Councillor Champagne. Councillor Champagne?
I believe the motion's got to be read first, I believe, Is that proper procedure?
Yes, that would be proper, yes.
I can read your motion. I require a seconder to your motion, Rick. Councillor Kelly? I should have said Councillor Champagne. I apologize. Okay, so notice of motion prepared by Councillor Champagne. Whereas council received the presentation slide from the North Bay French River Algonquins from their public meeting held in North Bay December 7, 2021. And whereas the North Bay French River Algonquins have provided the municipality with an area map draft revision number 2 and the list of affected municipalities. And whereas municipalities wish to keep protected areas as recreation lands, be it hereby resolved that this resolution be forwarded to the following municipalities along with area draft map revision number 2 and the presentation from the North Bay French River Algonquins provided at the council meeting held December 14, 2021. Township of Bonfield, Municipality of Callander, Municipality of Calvin, Township of Chisholm, Municipality of Marks Bay Warren, Town of Mattawa, Township of Nipissing, City of North Bay, Township of Papineau Cameron, Municipality of Powassan, Municipality of St. Charles, and Municipality of West Nipissing.
Well, thank you, Madam Clerk. Councillor Champagne, do you wish to address the motion or the resolution that you've put forward?
Yeah, just a couple points. We've been at this fight now for 13 years trying to protect our crown lands. And the understanding is ourselves is that it was supposed to be kept as crown land from day one, but things have changed over the years. And the new group, the new Algonquins, basically were Algonquins. Now they're not technically, they're still Algonquins. If you're Algonquin 10 years ago, you're still an Algonquin today. At the end of the day is that they're always there to preserve the land. That's what they were there for, to keep it as recreational lands. And we've been seeing different things happen over the years that we didn't agree with. And there's an opportunity now that that's their fight to have with the ministry and other municipalities that, they say the system was flawed, and that's up to them to fight it out. Our goal today is to protect our recreation lands in East Fairs, like the stepping stones and the areas off of Maple Road and other Johnson Road and walking trails that they should be there for life. And I want to go back to a little bit when Mike Harris was premier. The lands for life were given on an area from Talon Lake, I believe, east, and there was a big chunk of land that was there supposed to be there for lands for life. Now this is part of the entrapment area now for the Algonquins. What's going to happen with that land that's supposed to be kept for life? So there's a lot of issues out there that aren't I shouldn't say truthful, but everything's coming out the wrong way. We're not getting the right information. So by putting this out to the other municipalities and to the ministries, it's up to them now to say, okay, maybe there is a problem. Let's get this thing figured out before this goes on. Because in 2023, they're supposed to be signing this treaty. And right now, it doesn't look very good for what's going to happen if the ministry don't step up and see the light here. So I guess at the end of the day, is that we're here to protect our Crown lands and East Fairs. And I think it should stay that way, that we have a fight that should stay on and fight for our residents. And again, that's why this is another kick at the cat. And I think this should go through and to the other municipalities and to the ministries and have them at the end of the day say, okay, this is right or this is wrong. At least we've done our due diligence in the meantime and say, we think it's flawed. Thank you. I don't know if everybody else has any comments, but.
Thank you, Councillor Champagne. Councillor Kelly.
Thank you, Mayor. In addition to that, I'd just like to pass on to our council and senior staff any feedback from other municipalities. What we can't believe is the degree of apathy from other municipalities and very little involvement on the ground. And I say that with due respect, but I don't, then the government's been trying to sell this saying, oh, don't worry about it. It's 20, 30 years, 40 years down the road. So you won't be effective on it right away. That's been the selling point since we started doing this, as Rick said, 13, 14 years ago. So if any feedback from other municipalities, they want to know why we're going to this degree of interest, it's because we're concerned with what's going on down the road. And it's not that far down the road anymore, but it's going to affect a lot of people for a long time to come. And if you read the composition of the articles that Rick put together, there's a lot of thought gone into it, and this is it's as clear as mud what's going on. So there's a degree of apathy from surrounding municipalities. It's hard to understand. So if anybody has any feedback from anyone, if you could just pass on, and you could use, I think, my name, Councillor Champagne's name, and just give them our phone numbers. I'm glad to fill them in what's gone on. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Councillor Kelly. Other comments or questions?
Oh, just well said, Rick and Terry, and totally agree on it. So there's some other hidden agendas in behind it. So
well, thank you very much, Deputy Mayor Trana. Councillor Law had any comments, and then Councillor Champagne a final comment.
No, I just think that the thing that you wrote out, does it capture all your feelings, Councillor Champagne? Because I feel like there's the letter, when I read it, it doesn't quite match what you also had said there.
Well, at the end of the day there's a lot of things I'd like to say, believe me. There's a lot of things that aren't being said, but we don't want to be in a liable position saying that we said. All we're interested right now is make sure that our lands are protected, and they're going to do the fight. The new Algonquins are going to have the fight with the ministry, and they're incorporated, they've started. They're going to have their fight with the other agencies or the other bands, whatever the case is. We didn't care from day one when we looked at these lands, and we don't care who owns it at the end of the day, whose name is on it, as long as it stays as recreational land. That's our bone and contention since day one. And if for some reason it keeps getting swept, and what a perfect opportunity now, because there's a provincial election coming up, and that's what the push is on right now, to make sure that they've got the right information out there before they make the final decision. Because if you're Algonquin at the end of the day, and you're told you're no longer Algonquin, there's a problem somewhere. So these lands,
so it's just that when you read the resolution, that doesn't capture what you're saying. Like, to me, the resolution is like, you want to forward this piece of information along to X, Y, and Z. And then I don't disagree with, I'm not in disagreement with what you're saying, but I just don't see it captured in the way that you're describing. It sounds like we're talking about two separate things. Like, one of them was, I was prepared to be like, yes, we're forward along the information, all good. And not that I don't disagree with you. It just seems like they don't line up.
At the end of
you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know exactly what you're saying. And what I should say is, this is the first step. The second step, they will come back to us. I'm talking about the new Algonquins with what their mandate is going to be, exactly what's going to happen in the next few months. Right now, it's illegal right now. So when that comes out and we get the information that we need, then we'll help them at that fight. But right now, we can't say anything. This goes back to the days when we used to have to sign confidentiality letters that we couldn't say anything. Well, those days are gone. It's time now to open the mouth and start spitting out exactly what we think and how we feel. We've been feeling for 13 years. So this is step one. Step two will be coming in the next month, and then step three, and then step four. Because once you start this, the fire, you start a small fire, then you have a big fire. And that's where the fight will come out with other municipalities on board. We've been trying this on our own now for 13 years, and it's been a hard go. Like, we've got groups down on Person Drive and on off Maple Lane that they've been fighting this for a long time. And we've been trying to do the best we can. Our staff has done the best they can. And at the end of the day, now we're getting conflict, different, how would I say that? People are coming up with different suggestions that things are going to be just fine in 10, 20, 30 years from now. They're not going to be fine. As long as we don't put just the line in the sand and say, whoa, enough is enough. You prove us where we're wrong and prove us why these can't stay as recreational lands. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Councillor Champagne. And you have called for a recorded vote, and I'd like to make my comment. I will be voting yes, but I do want to attach a comment to my vote, if I may. I wanted to say a few things. I want to say that I know last fall it was very disappointing to hear from residents from East Ferris that their membership in the Mattawa North Bay First Nations was revoked. I thought it was really disappointing. I understand that the recent formation of the North Bay French River Algonquins is a direct result of this retroactive tightening of the Algonquins of Ontario membership. And I find it is very good to see citizens like Richard Champagne stepping up to ensure the fairness and the inclusion of all East Ferris residents who legitimately claim to be Algonquin. I think it is important to support each other. It is also good to see the newly formed Algonquins of North Bay and French River advocating, as you've pointed out, Councillor Champagne, in their land claim that Crown land, such as Mattawa River Provincial Park, be preserved for recreational purposes. I personally feel that this group is quite capable of disseminating their own information. I think we saw it, Alain Boissonneau, the lead is a very organized man, but I am assuming here that they've made a formal request for our assistance in doing so. Overall, I think that the council is on the right track in prioritizing building relationships with all groups. And while we should not act on behalf of any one group, especially in the context of a land claim and where there's direct financial benefits associated with it, I believe it is good to strive to open the lines of communications as we strive to be responsive to all of our citizens. Only by opening the channels of communications amongst ourselves, with other communities, as you've pointed out, Councillor Kelly, with governments, only then can we find a solution to the land claim issues that impact East Ferris. And so ultimately, as this resolution, and Councillor Elahi, you're absolutely right, at this point, all it is doing, this resolution, is calling for information sharing. And so, and as to me, relationship building is all about information sharing. And so for that reason, I support this resolution with a yes vote and ask that my comments be associated with my vote. But that said, I'm not the first one to vote, but I simply wanted to make my comment as part of the comment portion of the meeting. We'll be now calling, Councillor Champagne, our last comment, and we'll now move forward with the vote.
There's nothing on there to ask to be a recorded vote, but I will ask for a recorded vote. And number two is that I don't think I didn't notice on there. I know I went to Phenom before, but not with our motion. I believe this motion, I think, Terry, if you agree with me, should also go to Phenom, and it should also go to AMO, and it should also go to the ministry.
Madam Clerk, had I misread that the recorded vote was requested?
Yes, I didn't hear anybody requesting a recorded vote, but Councillor Champagne said now that he will ask for a recorded vote, so it's all okay.
Okay.
So now, as well, to add to this motion, Councillor Champagne, you want, and further, that a copy of this motion and further that a copy of this motion be forwarded to Phenom,
Phenom, AMO, and OGRA, and Roma, and the ministry, whichever ministry this falls under, Aboriginal Affairs.
Ministry of Indigenous. Okay.
So on that note, I will call for the recorded vote. Wait, do proceed, Madam Clerk. Wait,
So a recorded vote is requested by Councillor Champagne. So I will go in order as council came in with the municipal election. So we start with Deputy Mayor Trahan, yay or nay for this motion?
Yay.
Councillor Kelly, yay or
Yay.
nay?
Yay.
Thank
Thank you. Yay, yes.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Lougheed,
Yes, thank you.
Councillor Champagne,
Yay.
Mayor Ashfa.
wait,
Okay, motion is carried.
thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
So on that note, we will move forward now to bylaws. And we have, so sorry, three. On that note is, so Monsieur Tretier, we turn it over to you.
Sure, Mayor Rushford. So this is the standard agreement. Every 5 years, like, gets renewed with the M&R, basically. I'm not sure how much detail you want on it.
No, c'est bon, I think we're good to proceed. Oui, Madame Clerk,
Yeah.
wait.
I'm a little bit familiar with this bylaw. It's like the CAO said, every 5 years, it's a renewable bylaw. It's an agreement that the municipality has. In the past, it was with the Ministry of Natural Resources. Now it's changed name to Northern Development and Mines Natural Resources. But it's for the assistance of water bombers for grass fires whenever the fire would get to a place where fire department cannot go, or it gets overwhelmed and it goes into the bushes or whatever. It's for the assistant of the MNR for the water bombers.
Thank you so much. We can proceed then with the reading of the bylaws.
Thank you. Could I have a mover and a seconder, please? Moved by Councillor Kelly and seconded by Councillor Lougheed. Whereas Council for the Municipality of East Ferris deems it expedient to pass 3 readings of the following bylaw at this session, be it hereby resolved that a bylaw to enter into an agreement of fire protection and response services for the Municipality of East Ferris with Her Majesty the Queen and Right of Ontario as represented by the Minister of Northern Development and Mines, Natural Resources and Forestry, be ready first, second, and third time passed and numbered 2022-12, and that the said bylaw be signed by the mayor and clerk and sealed with the seal of the corporation.
All in favor? C'est bon, carried. Thank you so much. Madame Clerk?
Second bylaw is the bylaw for the Nords Fund, correct, Jason?
That's
Is
correct.
it the North? Okay. Could I have a mover and a seconder, please? Moved by Councillor Champagne and seconded by Deputy Mayor Trahan. Whereas Council for the Municipality of East Ferris deems it expedient to pass 3 readings of the following bylaw at this session, be it hereby resolved that a bylaw to enter into an agreement to authorize the execution of an agreement between the Corporation of the Municipality of East Ferris and Her Majesty the Queen and Right of Ontario as represented by the Minister of Northern Development and Mines, Natural Resources and Forestry for the Northern Ontario Resource Development Support Fund, be ready first, second, and third time passed and numbered 2022-13, and that the said bylaw be signed by the mayor and clerk and sealed with the seal of the corporation.
Just a quick question, Monsieur Tretier. Is that for the, it was a 5-year, correct, contribution that they'll be making? So that's an agreement for the full 5 years?
That's correct. $128,000 and some change per year for their 5 years. 5 years beginning in 2021. So what we basically did was, because we can go back to April 1st, 2021, the 2021 funds have been shuffled to 2022. So we have 2 times 128,000 for this year, meaning this is second year. So we've got 3 more years to go after this one.
Thank you so much. Any other questions before we vote? All in favor? C'est bon, thank you so much. And now bylaw number 2022-14, Madam Clerk.
This bylaw was approved, I believe it was in March of 2020, correct, Greg? Was it in 2020 or 2020?
Yeah, so this is a file that dates back to 2020. It was originally heard by the Planning Advisory Committee in February of 2020, and then a resolution supporting it was passed by council in March of 2020. It's just that with these files, an initial resolution is passed to support the application in principle, and then a bylaw needs to be passed once the surveying work is done, because the surveying work is what outlines the exact area that's being transferred, and it also legally describes the parcel that allows us to make the transfer. So this bylaw is basically executing the sale and transfer that's based on the resolution that council passed in March of 2020.
Okay, thank you. So I require a mover and a seconder. Moved by Deputy Mayor Trahan and seconded by Councillor Kelly. Whereas Council for the Municipality of East Ferris deems it expedient to pass 3 readings of the following bylaw at this session, be it hereby resolved that a bylaw to close and convey a part of the original shoreline road allowance in front of Plan M475, Lot 13, Parcel 12830, WF East Ferris, District of Nipissing, as described as Part 3, Plan 36R 14661, known locally as vacant land on Mlock Island, be read a first, second, and third time passed and numbered 2022-14, and that the said bylaw be signed by the mayor and clerk and sealed with the seal of the corporation.
All in favor? C'est bon, thank you so much, Carrie. So on that note, we proceed to correspondence. Deputy Mayor Trahan, are there any items that you would like to highlight?
Yeah, just on letter H, just acknowledgement to Phil Coney
Yes?
that his letters been accepted and will be compiled with the rest of them, and we'll have that report coming out sometime soon.
On
Thanks,
that
Phil.
note, just a quick question to yourself and maybe Mr. Curtin. I know that there's many comments online. Are those comments being officially recognized by the municipality and included in the and so I see our CEO shaking his head. Can we make a formal statement that if anyone wishes to make a comment, they need to send an email or a direct conversation? Please advise, Mr. Curtin.
Sure, I can take that, Mayor Rushford. So we're accepting formal comments at our municipality at eastferris.ca email address. I would also be happy to accept comments at greg.curtin@eastferris.ca for anyone listening. But we have been receiving comments since the public consultation session opened on the 18th of February and or the 11th of February, sorry, 2 Fridays ago. And we will be accepting them until the 25th, so this Friday. And then all of those comments will be compiled in a report to council, which you'll receive on March 8th.
Thank you. Right. Okay. So that's important for citizens to realize that just by posting on East Ferris Posted, for example, it's not an official comment that goes into that is taken into account by the municipality.
Yeah, although also as I've had several calls also, so I've been taking those down and passing them over to Greg also, and in conversation with Greg also. So
many ways to communicate. C'est bon. Okay. Anything else, Deputy Mayor Trahan?
no, I'm good, thanks.
C'est bon. Okay, Councillor Kelly.
I've got 2, number B, Township of Clearview. And also, I'm not sure about number G, Joanne Bullerice.
Yes,
I'm
we have to
wondering
deal with that this evening. Yes.
Oh, very good. Okay, that'll be on the agenda down the road. Is that correct?
Yes.
Thank you.
So you'd like to provide, you'd like us to issue this in support of the resolution from Township of Clearview.
Yes, please.
Right.
Yep.
Okay. C'est bon.
Thank you.
Councillor Lahi.
No addition, nothing to on my end. I'm good. Thank you.
Councillor Champagne.
Just Township of Chisholm support the municipal resolution for bus stop arms cameras. Just have that. And the other one is, I'm not sure about G, Joanne Bulisadis.
Yes.
Requesting for a wedding. What's happening with that?
So we're coming to that right now. If you have no other items, we will proceed with that immediately. I'll turn it over to Madame Clerk, who will provide us with the background.
Yes, actually, Mrs. Bulleris' letter was on council agenda at the last council meeting, and I don't know if it was an oversight or not, so I brought it forward again to this council meeting. So with the assumption that council would be approving this request, I prepared a resolution if council is ready to to give her the exemption so we could have a resolution tonight, this evening, or we can bring it back at the next council meeting.
No, let's table the resolution. That's a
Okay.
good idea. Yeah.
Okay, if I can have a mover and a seconder, I'll put the motion on the floor. Moved by Deputy Mayor Trahan and seconded by Councillor Champagne. Whereas Ms. Joanne Bouletis has made a written request to council of the municipality for exemption under section 4 of the municipal bylaw number 2015-33, being a bylaw to prohibit excessive noise. And whereas this exemption requested would apply to the specific dates from Friday, July 22nd, 2022 to July 24th, 2022 for the purpose of an outdoor wedding. Be it hereby resolved that council approves of this exemption for the specific dates required and that Ms. Bouletis be advised accordingly.
Bon. Oui, Councillor Champagne, a comment or a question? Oui.
Well, it's nice to see somebody actually want to do the protocol, because there's been so many weddings outside. Nobody really asked permission in the past and just had them. So it's nice to see that, you know, it's hard to say no to something like that. And good luck in your weddings.
And I do believe that we will be requesting Madame Bouletis to advise her neighbors. Is that correct, Monsieur Trottier? That she will be responsible, or they will be responsible to inform neighbors of the fact there's going to be a wedding and that there may be some noise.
So Mayor Rochford, we can do it two ways. I think it's best. It's either Ms. Bouletis does it herself or something from the township, but I think it's easier for her. She knows her neighbors. But I think it would be just a courtesy. Because what'll end up happening is if somebody's not happy with it and calls the OPP and there was an exemption made, it's best to let everyone know in advance so that your neighbors work with you. So I would suggest that that be one of the conditions.
I would make one suggestion: invite your neighbors to the wedding.
Deputy Mayor Trahan, wait.
Yeah, maybe also is once the paperwork's drawn up, maybe we can fax or mail it over to the OPP. We still have lots of time, so they're quite aware of the exemption.
Okay, so two good recommendations to follow the resolution. As we noted, for Madame Bouletis to inform her neighbors and to forward the exemption to the OPP. C'est bon? Okay with that, Madame Clerk?
Yes.
Okay. We move on to action items, approval of correspondence.
Okay, I require a mover and a seconder, please. Moved by Councillor Lougheed and seconded by Councillor Kelly. That council approve the correspondence and information as circulated with the agenda of February 22nd, 2022.
All in favor? So, thank you so much. We come now to the next item, which is a policy, whether or not council would like our staff to go forth and prepare a policy related to the assumption of unmaintained municipal roads and private lanes. So tonight, we're not going to be voting on a policy. We simply want to give direction to municipal staff on whether or not we think that that is a good direction. We had circulated two policies. I remember Kawartha Lakes, and now the second one escapes me. Pardon me, Monsieur Trottier. But anyway, if I know council members, you were all encouraged to look at these. At this point, again, it's not about being specific, it's about overall direction. Are you comfortable with providing direction for staff to prepare with such a policy? So I see a couple of heads. Maybe we should all in favor. If you're in favor of giving this direction to staff, please raise your hands just to sign a show of support. Good. So, Monsieur Trottier, is that sufficient to start? Madame Clerk, you're not.
Yes. So since council gave its blessing to direct staff, I do have a resolution that was prepared. It is not on e-scribe because we didn't know how council would be going this route. So I do have a resolution if you'd like me to put it on the floor for council to vote.
Wait, it's probably a better way. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I require a mover, moved by Councillor Champagne and seconded by Deputy Mayor Trahan. So the resolution reads, the council for the corporation of the municipality of East Ferris directs staff to draft an assumption of private and unassumed roads policy, and that the said policy be reviewed by the Public Works and Infrastructure Committee prior to council's consideration.
Any comments or questions? Councillor Champagne?
Again, falls under what happened with the issue with even the Algonquin land claims, like Crown land. Some private roads go through Crown land. And at the end of the day, we're trying to protect our residents that do live beyond the Crown lands, and we want to make sure their roads are protected and we protect them also at the same time. It's an opportunity, and I think we should take a really good look at this. Thank you.
Thank you. All in favor? C'est bon. Okay, Carrie, thank you so much. Thank you, Madam Clerk, for being prepared.
Thank you.
Approval of accounts payable.
Thank you. I require a mover and a seconder, please. Moved by Deputy Mayor Trahan and seconded by Councillor Lahi. The council approved the general accounts for the municipality of East Ferris as indicated in the check register dated February 22nd, 2022 in the amount of $143,666.74.
All in favor? C'est bon, thank you so much. Other business? Returning to in-person meetings. Okay, so on that note, Mr. Tretsy, we turn it over to you. Yeah, go ahead.
Thanks, Mayor Rochford. We had to request from committee whether we were going to be returning to in-person meetings or a hybrid model. And seeing as the province is changing, I guess, course on March 1st with not going ahead with looking at vaccine proof of vaccinations anymore, we thought it might be timely to come forward to council to ask how council wants to proceed after March 1st.
I'd say back in person.
Councillor Champagne, back in person. Other comments, observations?
Yeah, I'll just
Deputy Mayor Trahan and Councillor Lahi, pardon me, go ahead.
Yeah, I'll just stand by on that for a moment. I'll give my opinion at a later date.
Thank you. So you're saying not tonight, it's too early to conclude. Is that what you're saying? You'd rather wait till our meeting in March?
Sure.
It should be on the agenda at the meeting in March, is what your thoughts are. Okay, thank you. Councillor Lahi.
I echo Deputy Mayor Trahan. I also think probably should get the feedback from committees on how they're feeling too, if anybody's on committees, to see what they would think, because I don't want to make a direction that would upset committee members. Thank you, Councillor Lahi. Councillor Kelly, did you have any comments?
Thank you. Yes, I'm comfortable going back face to face with council. I've been doing it VON. I do an exercise class for the VON twice weekly, and I've been face to face now for a month. But I do understand with committees that there's you could have people that are compromised, their immune system compromised or in jeopardy. So there's concerns, and I understand that. So I think committee's a hybrid model, but I would be in favor of face-to-face for council. But I would have no audience at this time until we find out exactly where the province is going long-term. That's my thought. But I'll go. I mean, I'm easy with it. If someone feels comfortable waiting till the next council meeting, that's not a problem. That's not an issue for me.
And so one of the considerations we had is when we reviewed our policy on boards and committees, it was the question of citizens' participation. We were saying that all of our advisory committees are basically open to the public. And so it's that issue that is also before us. But there's no reason, I think tonight, basically, if I heard correctly, we don't need to decide tonight. We can give it a few more weeks as matters evolve and settle. And we may also get some sense of where things are heading with other councils and so on. So I think I hear generally that we're looking to resume council in person, but we're still okay for another few weeks is the sense that I'm getting from the council members.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. Okay. On that note, Monsieur Trottier. Okay. So we still have. Okay. Yeah, today is the 22nd, and our next meeting is March 8th. 8th. Yeah, okay, very good. So on March 8th, we make a decision, unless things have changed. Oh, what a world. Yes, okay, on that note, we come to the end of our meeting. We don't have an in-camera meeting. We move to the confirmatory bylaw.
Thank you. I require a mover and a seconder, please. Moved by Councillor Champagne and seconded by Councillor Lougheed. Whereas Council for the Municipality of East Ferris deems it expedient to pass 3 readings of the following bylaw at this session, be it hereby resolved that a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of Council from February 8, 2022 to February 22nd, 2022 be read a first, second, and third time passed and numbered 2022-15, and that the said bylaw be signed by the mayor and clerk and sealed with the seal of the corporation.
All in favor? C'est bon. Thank you so much. And the adjournment.
Thank you. I require a mover and a seconder. Moved by Deputy Mayor Trahan and seconded by Councillor Kelly that we do now adjourn at 6:55 p.m. and meet again on March 8, 2022.
All in favor? C'est bon. And on March 8th, we meet at 4:30, correct?
Now at 4.
4 o'clock.